Well, lads, almost unknown in January and now going into the Royal Command performance in November. This is quite a rise even for your business, isn't it, Paul?
Yes, it's been very quick and we have been very lucky.
Yeah. How much of this is due, do you think, to pure musical talent?
Don't know. No idea. You just can't tell, you know. I mean, maybe a lot of it, maybe none of it.
How much would you say?
I agree with Paul, you know. It's very, you know.
How much of this is getting popularity by acting the fool a bit and playing around?
Well, I mean, that's just natural. We don't do it, you know, we do it anyway, whether we're on stage or
but your funny
not.
haircuts aren't natural, too.
Well, we don't think they're funny, you see, Copper.
George, can I turn to you now? How long do you think you're going to be successful? You've had this monumental rise. Obviously, this sort of thing can't go on, but do you think you can settle down to a life in show business?
Well, we're hoping to. I mean, not necessarily a life in show business, but at least a couple more years.
A long run.
Yeah. I mean, if we do as well as Cliff and the Shadows have done up to now, well, I mean, we won't be moaning.
We're very happy.
I mean, naturally, it can't go on as it has been going the last few months. I mean, it'd just be ridiculous.
How do you find all this business of having screaming girls following all over the place?
Well, we feel flattered. I mean, it's
and
very
flattened.
Yeah, and flattened. But, I mean, if the screaming fans weren't there, then we wouldn't be here, would we?
Paul, coming quickly back to you again, Mr. Edward Heath, the Lord Privy Seal, has said that the other night he found it difficult to distinguish what you were saying as Queen's English. Now, are you going to try and lose some of your Liverpool dialect for the Royal Show?
No, we just won't vote for him.
No. No, we wouldn't bother doing that. You know, we don't all speak like them BBC posh fellas, you know.
No, we don't.
Come, we don't.
No.
Right up north.
Well, with that, I better wish you good luck in the show. What song will you be singing most there, do you think?
Well, I don't know, but I should imagine we'd do She Loves You.
Jolly good.
Jolly good.
If I had a proper chance to go and see them and talk to them properly, I would. And I'd faint after that, I know.
I won't faint. I won't scream, but I don't know, I'd just like to talk to them, you know, ask them, I don't know, ask them what it's like to be famous, what it's like to have all these girls just looking at them and saying, you know, when you see them just screaming, it's fantastic, I don't know.
What do you think of them coming in and then screaming? What?
Well, they paid the money so they can scream, can't they? I mean, if they hadn't paid and they were screaming, it'd be a liberty, wouldn't it?
It's better gargle for the Beatlemania, but of course, I mean, to say that's only for fun. I mean, you could imagine someone sort of sitting there with his gargle in the middle of the show just so that they could scream properly. I mean, to say some of this we consider serious and some not.
There was one point I made was don't scream into the ear of the boy or girl sitting next to you. And I think that was written seriously because I've seen so many Beatles shows with people vainly trying to listen with about 6 girls on either side screaming away and they can't hear a thing, you know.
What are your sort of favourite types of music? Beethoven and Stravinsky?
No, I like trad jazz. You know, Kenny Ball and all that. You don't? You told me you didn't. I do. I changed it. Washington Square, I got it.
Paul is fabulous. His youngest, his birthday's in June, and he's 21 now. And John Lennon is married, and he's got a baby boy. They call it John. And Ringo Starr, you used to have a different haircut altogether. Just seeing a picture of him in paper. That Weekly News or something, and it looked curly hair, wavy. Oh, it were different. And then, well, you see John and Ringo and Paul and George. They're all at Beatles, and they're lovely.
Well, it's worth going all night to see them for, even if it's 5 minutes, it's just worth it.
Well, it's a night out, isn't it? Something we've never done before. I suppose to want to cure, that's business, isn't it? I don't think I should let them if I was a parent.
How'd it go? Great, thanks. Yeah, it was fine. I think it was one of the best receptions we've had. It's terrific.
Now then, let's know a little bit about your personal life. What do you like to do in your spare time when you get it?
When it's spare time, go to the pictures or watch telly or read comics, you know.
What sort of films do you like? Okay.
Sort of films? Well, you know, The Man in the Green Basket. Just ordinary sort of films like The Trial, The Servants. Just ordinary, you know, like Walt Disney, you know, The Trial by Walt Disney. It's great.
What sort of music do you like personally?
Just I like everybody else, you know, Stravinsky, Beethoven. No, just American groups actually I listen to.
Female.
Mainly American records, you know, generally.
Alan George, what do you like to do in your spare time?
Well, what do I do?
What does he do? Well, I tell you what George does. He goes to the pictures.
I go to the pictures.
Read Tolstoy.
I read Tolstoy, and
Beethoven.
and play records and play the banjo.
Beethoven's poems.
Yes.
And
what are your ambitions then, George?
to join the Navy. Actually, I want to join the Navy and be a lieutenant commander. On HMS Queen Victoria.
You've never been on Jukebox Johnny before?
Oh no, John's been on.
I've been on.
John.
I'm Ringo and I play the drums.
Well, I'm Paul and I play the bass.
I'm George and I play a guitar.
I'm John and I too play a guitar. Sometimes I play the fool.
It wasn't so much that we foresaw, you know, a big success. We just never thought that there'd be anything particularly bad had happened to us. We'd never sat down at one particular point and all sort of worried about anything. We've always thought that something would turn up sometime.
Well, actually, yeah, we have been misquoted saying, you know, people saying we make 7,000 a week and all that. I mean, we probably do make quite a bit, but we don't actually see it because record royalties, things like that, take months before they come in. And anyway, we've got
your mother costs a fortune.
Yeah, my mother costs a fortune. But we've also got an accountant who and a company, Beatles Limited, who they see the money. The thing is, indirectly, I mean, we are and we aren't doing it for the money, really, because, I mean, don't forget, we played for about 3 or 4 years, or maybe longer, just earning hardly anything. Well, we wouldn't have done that. If we were doing it for the money, we wouldn't have, you know, lasted out all those years. I mean, we like it sufficiently to do it not for the money too, but I mean, the money does help, let's face it. You know, we all love being on stage and...
No, you've got George's got to go into that practice. Yeah. I haven't got the patience to practice to become a perfect guitarist, you know. I'm more interested in the combination of my voice and the guitar I know, and to write songs than I am in the instrument itself. I never go through a day hardly without playing it, whether I'm performing or not, you know.
George is the one of us who's interested in the instrument, mainly, I think. Yeah, you know, he's really about the most interested. But the other three of us, you know, are more interested in the sound of the group, you know.
And to be a guitarist, you're supposed to practice a couple of hours a day. Well, I mean, I don't do that.
Be anything you're supposed to practice a couple of hours a day.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, the thing is, we're not... Individually, we're all, you know, I suppose we're all crummy musicians, really.
Thank you, the Beatles. Aren't they fabulous? So successful, so young, frightening.
You'd be here. An Irishman here, George Harrison. Hey, listen. Look at the Irish Ringo.
Gentlemen, if I may, please. Tell me, first of all, is the haircut an act by accident or design?
Accident.
You didn't have time to get your hair cut in the first place?
No, it just happened, you know. Ringo's was by design because he joined later.
I designed it.
How often do you get your hair cut, by the way?
Well, we try not to mention that.
It's a dirty word.
This new phrase that's coming up, the Liverpool sound, is a bit of a puzzle to some of us older people, especially in Ireland. Could you define it for me?
It's a puzzle to us too.
It's not really a Liverpool sound.
There's no such
It just
thing.
so happens that the new groups who've come out all happen to have come from Liverpool, so people sort of generalise a bit and say, aha, the Liverpool sound. But really, you know, if you listen to the groups, they're all quite different. Yeah. It's not all one big sound that's coming out.
Now, it's no use saying, are you surprised by your success, because quite plainly you're not a bit surprised. But
we are surprised, but you just sort of, you know, it's so surprising.
I mean, if we look surprised every day. We'd look off our heads, wouldn't we?
About your Irish backgrounds.
Yeah, I think we've all got a bit, except, you know, Jaime on the end there. Stop! Still going?
Irish backgrounds we're on.
There's an Irish background.
I think I saw you being greeted by somebody outside.
No, that was George.
Me, that was me.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it was my mother she came over here, you know, because she's got hundreds of cousins and relatives over here, and then she hasn't seen us for weeks anyway because we've been away. So she's come to see the show and to see her cousins, and one of the cousins was here with her.
Your mother has to come to Ireland to see you.
Yeah.
Well, this in a way typifies the kind of extraordinary upset that must occur in your let us say your private lives. Do you get home at all?
Yeah, sometimes you get home for a whole week, but sometimes you don't get home, you know, for months on end.
It's normally about 1 day in, say, 3 weeks.
The new idea, telephones help a bit, you know.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. God bless Graham Bell.
Yeah.
Does the continuous living and working together impose any temperamental stress upon you?
No, actually, it's quite lucky because we've been together now for 40 years, and you know we've all been mates for quite a long time, so we don't get on each other's nerves as much as we could. We're quite friendly.
Yeah, so I see. So I see. Well, now, so far as I can see, the greater portion of your public seems to be female. But what do you attribute this extraordinary success? A lot of people here will be very interested to know this.
Well, you can't make it out, you know.
We're male, aren't we? You know, it'd be a bit funny if they're all fellas. No one gets away.
Of course, it's very nice. You know, you can't. We don't know why. I mean, if we knew, we'd be made. You know, more or less. You just go and get about 6 groups like us who attracted them, and I forgot my Mac, and so I said to John, if you don't fetch yours, it's going to rain, you see. And he's...
Well, we're talking about your appeal to the feminine sex. I come to the conclusion that whatever it is, it's bigger than 4 of you.
Aye, that's right.
What should we do now?
Better tell a joke, eh?
Oh, let one of the boys tell one.
Yeah,
Not one you told me.
Tell another joke.
There's 2 old men sitting in a dirty deck chair.
No, you can't. 2 dirty old men in a deck chair. Where was it? New Brighton? I'll tell them. Well, there was 2 old men sat in deck chairs, you see.
Yeah.
And one old man said, it's nice out.
Oh, wait a minute, you can't do that joke.
Why?
Well, you know, it's a bit like that.
Well, no, it's like that, but they'd love it, wouldn't they?
No, you can't do that.
The phrase of the guitar is just exactly the same as Cliff. Here's one. In fact, there's only a note difference. But, I mean, don't suppose that makes any difference.
No, but it's not you talking about that, because you really know about these things.
Well, it's all that...
Have you by any chance got some friends out there?
I don't know that.
Yes. Let's see what John Lennon thought. John.
He's just said a bit about the beginning, hasn't he? It's been like Cliff's one. The tune's not bad. I don't like gallop tunes. You know, it's not funny, that. Yeah, it's quite, you know, it's quite pleasant. You've got to hear it. It's one of those you've got to hear again tomorrow.
Not later tonight. Paul McCartney.
I quite liked it, and same thing as John said, go for me, cool. But the only thing I thought, as well as the guitar bit being like the Cliff Richard bit, the tune, I don't know if anyone knows it, I think it's just a little bit like, will I feed the cows and I milk the sheep and I... a little bit like that one. It is actually. But I still think it'll be a hit.
Yes. Well, let's vote it then. Do You Really Love Me Too by Billy Fury. Hit or a miss, Jerry? Ah, very sad, will be. Very sad, will indeed be a hit. Good. Now, final button. Bobby Vinton on that one. There, I've said it again. George Harrison.
It's quite nice, but I mean, I don't think that the record buying public buy this sort of stuff. I mean, the majority, which will make it a myth. But you know, it's quite all right. I wouldn't buy it myself.
See what John thinks. John?
Well, I don't know. What's Bobby Vinton doing? He's bringing the oldies back. He might do it, but people always cover them over here. Especially, you know, anything old gets done about 900. You know, everybody does it all at once. And he missed it with the last one. And I think he's going to miss it with this one, too.
Paul McCartney.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I think the thing about bringing back old records, bringing back old songs, and doing them these days, is that secretly, people don't really, teenagers don't really want old songs brought back. I'm sure that they like to have songs that they can sort of call their own instead of bringing back their mums and dads.
Well, now, just a minute. What about Frank Ifield and all that lot?
Lovely. Lovely.
Yeah, okay. What about Mule Train?
Yeah, well, it's probably right, but I'm sure that if you could get songs these days as good as the old ones, only new songs, that'd be 10 times better.
Frank Ifield modernises them anyway. I mean, that's just practically the same as
I might tell you that I'm terrified of disagreeing with you chaps in front of all these people. However, let's see what Ringo says. Ringo.
I liked it, you know. It's nice and new. And if you're, sort of staying in one night, not alone, put it on. Take a chance. Yes, it won't sell.
Thank you, Don 1 star. Let's vote that record. There, I've said it again. By Bobby Vinton. Hit or miss, Jerry? Ah, that's right. Well, we did bring the national secretaries with us. We better ask them, just because they're here, what they thought of it too. Anybody? Oh, yeah, well, they think it's it, but somebody in the middle thought it was it. It still remains. We'll get on and see what happens with the next one. We have 3 Coventry schoolgirls called the Orchids on Love Hit Me. John Lennon.
Well, it's just a big cog, a pinch. Well, it sounds, if it had come out before the Crystals and the Ronettes, it would have been great. But, I mean, they've even got the, what is it? Castanets? Tambourine is what it's called. It's quite nice, but it's sort of, it's the British version, which, although the song's original, I think, but it sounds, doesn't sound right.
Oh. So it sounds great for an English record, though. Because about a year ago, somebody brought this out and said, listen to this record. I don't think, you would have believed that it was an English one. It's marvellous, the sound and things. And I think it's great. I like it.
Ringo.
It's good, I wouldn't buy it, and it may sell a few, but not many. Not for me.
George Harrison.
I thought it was quite nice. I mean, I like the idea of the British record sort of being on the way to you know, Chica, all this, or like the American stuff, like the Crystals. I mean, even though it is a pinch, you know, I'd rather they pinched the Crystals than carried on doing the stuff we've been doing.
Well, let's just see now, gentlemen. The Orchids and Love Hit Me. Do you say hit or do you say miss? And they say that it will be up. Which in fact is most unfortunate, because we do have sitting in the audience 3 young ladies called the Orchids. Stand up, young ladies. There they are. Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean it. Change it now. All right, change it. Change it. I'll buy it. I'll buy 2. I didn't know you were here. Nobody told me.
John says it's a lousy trick, but we'll get on to the next record. The mercy piece on that one, I think of you, and I think the time has run out, so we'll just have a vote on that one. Hit or a miss for the mercy piece. Hit, that's what they said about that one, but this is where I say that unfortunately we have to take our leave of you. So on behalf of the jury, thank John Lennon, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, and George Harrison. Don't forget to join the boys, the Beatles, later at 8:10 on BBC television tonight, and join us at the usual time next week for another session of...
Before the Beatles set out to conquer Paris and New York, I caught up with them on the road in Doncaster, in the industrial north of England. And while a crowd of 2,000 teenagers screamed ecstatically inside the theatre, I forced my way through the stage door and talked with the Beatles in their dressing room. And there they were, long hair, elastic-sided boots, the lot.
Ringo Starr, it's been suggested that boys coming from the particular area that you come from, if you hadn't found an interest in music, might have found it much more difficult to get out and make a go of life. Would you comment on this?
I think it's true, you know. I mean, when I was 16 and that, you know, I used to walk on the road, you know, with the rest of the lads, and we'd have all our draped coats on, and just, you know, we've had a few narcs and that with other rival gangs sort of thing. But then I got the drums, and the bloke next door played a guitar, and I got a job. Teddy boy! And we started playing together, and another bloke in work made a bass out of an old tea chest, you know, in them days. This was about 58, mind you. And we played together, and then we started playing on dances and things, you know, and we took an interest in it. And we stopped going, you know, out of sort of hanging around corners every night.
Would you say that the enormous difference which your success in this field has had has greatly influenced you, Ringo, as far as your philosophy of life or what you want to get out of it?
Oh, yeah.
George Harrison, how different is your life now as a member of the Beatles to what it was, say, even 4 years ago?
Everything's completely changed. We don't have a private life anymore, and we are public property now. Not that we mind.
You don't mind being such very public property with no private time at all?
Well, you get accustomed to it, and, you know, after a while it's just, you just take it for granted, and you just do everything automatically, like signing autographs and waving at people.
What about home life with your own family? Do you ever get any these days?
Yeah, occasionally, say once every fortnight, we manage to get home. And if we're not appearing in our hometown, then it's usually okay. They don't expect us to be there, and it's, you know, quite quiet.
Has it changed your status with the family much?
Not really. It makes them more popular, and people sort of, after a while, spot my parents anyway, you know, they're like, or the same with the others, you know, they'll say there's George's dad, or whereas before they wouldn't know him from Adam. But, you know, they're just still the same as before.
What about the wealth that comes with this kind of success? Has that made a great deal of difference to the way you live, the way your family live?
No, it hasn't made, not so far, it hasn't made any difference, except for holidays and things like that. You know, we can just get the money out of the bank and go wherever we want.
And you're one of the reputed deep thinkers of this group. How do you see it as a peak in your life? What happens to you after this is over?
Well, I suppose we'll stay doing this sort of stuff for a couple of years, and whether there were... I mean, naturally we won't be able to stay at this level, but we should have another 2 years at least, I think.
Then what happens? What happens to George Harrison then?
I don't know. I'll know by the time that comes along. Probably have a little business or something like that.
You don't want to go on in the profession?
Probably, yeah. I'd like to make records, you know, with other artists. I don't mean perform, I mean as a producer.
The technical side.
But I don't know, you can't really tell at this stage.
Paul McCartney, you're one of the original Beatles. Where did the name Beatles originate?
Well, Dibs. John thought of it first of all, just as a name, just for a group, you know. We just didn't have any name. Well, yeah, we did have a name, but we had about 10 of them a week, you know. We didn't like this idea, so we had to settle on one particular name. And John came up with the name Beatles one night. And he sort of explained how it was spelt with an EA, and we said, oh, yes, it's a joke.
Since when it's come to represent a large section of the young population called the Beatle people. Do people regard yourself as leaders of this particular group?
No, we're not leaders of any sort of a group. The thing is, people always say, well, you started great trends and things, but in actual fact, all that we've done is gone along with the trends. And if, in going along with it, we sort of encouraged other people to go along with a couple of our ideas, you know, all very well, but we haven't tried consciously to start anything like a trend, you know.
You're very much younger when this enormous success started, and you're riding the summit of it now. Do you see it as a peak, a mountain interfering with the flow of your life?
I don't really know what you mean by very much younger. It was only a year ago.
But you've been working since '58, haven't you?
Well, yeah, not working, you know. I mean, strictly speaking, we've been out of work since '58, and we've been doing this as a hobby, because we've only been doing it as semi-pros. I left school and went right into it, and we were only sort of picking up a few quid a week, you know. It really wasn't work. I think the main thing is now that as we've got ourselves a bit of security, we don't really have to worry, at the moment anyway, what we're going to do after it. So we don't.
None of you are really concerned with going on in this field as a profession?
Yeah, of course we are. I think all of us really, if it all suddenly flopped, then we would do something in this profession. But what we mean by Ringo and George's answers, what we mean that we don't really want to do like the conventional answer is, I'd like to do ballads and films and straight acting, you know, which is so corny because half the people who say that can't act or ballad or film, you know. So we probably wouldn't want to do that unless we thought we could do it. We're having a bash at a film next year, and if we find that any of us can act, then possibly, you know, when it finishes, say one out of us may become actors, but we haven't got any great hopes of being actors at the moment.
It said, John Lennon, that you have the most goon-type humour of the four Beatles.
Who said that?
I think I read it in one of the newspaper reports.
Oh, you know what the newspapers are like, huh?
No, what are they like?
Wrong.
It's not going wrong. I want to get a nice personality bit.
I haven't got a nice personality.
Is this evidence of goon-type humour?
No, I don't think I really have goon-type humour. That's just an expression people use.
What's the success you've enjoyed with the Beatles meant to you personally?
More money than I had before. That's the good bit.
Is it going to make any difference to your life, the way you live it after, say, this calms down, the enormous excitement you're generating at the moment?
I don't know, no, really.
Do you think a career as a comic might open up to you?
No. I don't stand a chance of being a comic.
Why not?
I'm not funny enough.
You're interested in poetry at school.
Who said?
It's printed in a book compiled by the Beatles and entitled The Beatles.
I haven't read that book. We don't normally write those things.
Written any good comic poems lately?
Yes, sir.
I just happen to have here by sheerest coincidence.
Dressed in my brown... Oh, no, I've lost it. Hold on. I can't read it, I've only just written it. Well, that's how it starts, actually. Dressed in my teen old brown sweater, I easily mixed with the crowd at Neville Club. I see me ho. Soon, oh but soon, people acoustic me saying such thing as, "Where the charge, man?" I'm turning over. All too soon I notice boys and girls sitting in a hubbled lump, smoking hernia and taking Odeon and getting very high. Some were only 4'3" high, but he had Indian hump, which he grew in his sleep. But things like that just help me keep sane.
Is this business enough to drive you insane?
No, I'm quite normal, really. If you read in the Beatle books, it says I'm quite normal.